Hello. I know it's been a long time since I just kind of sat in front of the camera. I'm sorry. I've been super busy. No, that's not an excuse. And I wish I had more time to film than I have the past few weeks. But I haven't, and I've been kind of lacking inspiration. And I was gonna film a video about Thanksgiving, but then I realized, what am I gonna talk about Thanksgiving? There's food. It's an American holiday. It's the holiday that falls between Halloween and Christmas. And everyone was just like, hey, let's throw in an extra holiday that's an excuse for people to gorge themselves with food. Anyway, this week's video, because I have finals this week, woo, I would just like to thank whoever thought it would be a fantastic idea to test people's intelligence based off of like an exam for a class with all of them put together at once. Like, let's just give kids a bunch of really hard exams, one in every class, over the span of a week. They'll be fine. Who needs sleep? I know I don't. So thank you. I don't want to devote my life to statistics studying or like any other studying, because studying sucks and that's not really how you... I mean, I personally don't think that making people take tests is the best way to prove that they know what they're doing. And to prove that they know it, I feel like the best way to learn about something is to actually do it and go out into that field and do the thing. And yet here I am. Okay, so this week's video is study tips. Tip numero uno. I find it best, especially finals week. I start studying like a week in advance, and I study for like 2 or 3 hours a day the week leading up to finals week. Because let's face it, once you get to finals week, you have exam after exam after exam. And so you're going to spend all your time studying for the next upcoming exam, not the one in the future. Step number 2, or tip rather, it's not a how-to, it's a helpful tips and hints. I find that I learn things better by writing them down. So I write notes and then I type them on my laptop, or like I'll type them on my laptop and then I'll rewrite them in a notepad. And that way it kind of sticks in my brain a little bit better rather than just like reading a chapter. I don't know if that works for some people, but it works for me. Tip number 3 that I find really helpful, especially since I've been taking stats and my stats professor doesn't speak English very well and doesn't explain things well at all, and like it's just, stats is very confusing on top of having a professor who cannot teach it. So I find it really helpful to watch like videos on YouTube about how to do it, understand and see it being done. Yeah. Tip number 4 is there's something on your study guide that you don't fully understand, either go see your professor or Google it and make sure that it's like a reputable source and not some weird like tabloid. There we go. So I'm pretty sure a lot of stuff you're learning in school isn't going to be on tabloids. But like sources that are similar to tabloids that are a little bit like sketch. Make sure it's a good source. And like check a few sources so that you actually get a complete understanding, or just to like even double check that the first source was right. And then tip number 5. There are elephants that live above me that are always moving furniture. What are you doing? Every freaking day. Ugh. Tip number 5 is to either quiz yourself or have someone else quiz you. Or quiz other people. I know most of my friends do better when they have someone else quiz them. I do better when I quiz other people because I'm reading the information and I'm like saying it out loud and repeating it. And that helps me more than like just listening and shouting out an answer. Other stuff to kind of do is like, don't overwork yourself, because a lot of times students, especially when you're in college, they overwork themselves and they study, and they don't take any breaks. And then they're just like dead by the time they get to the exam. I find what works best for me is I'll study a subject for an hour and I'll take like a 5-minute break and I'll either go back to that subject or I'll move on to another subject. The longest I go without taking a break is 2 hours. Because I want to say it's after 2 hours, like, you don't really retain any information. And it's almost Christmas! Woo! I have a little mini Christmas tree up. I'm so excited. So yeah, alrighty, that is it for this week's video. I hope these tips at least help a little bit. Bye!